Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Okay, so I wanted to give you guys a little update while we're heading into the height of the Pleiadian lineup, and we have the Scorpio full moon energy. It is a blue moon energy, so there's a lot of energy happening at this time that is good for manifesting abundance, but there's also like a lot of stuff coming up to be released. You know, the Scorpio energy is like transformation. It can be like the darker aspects of ourselves, but I think just with the combination of everything energetically, there's probably a lot of stuff people are experiencing, and I feel like it could be on all like ends of the spectrum. Okay, so you could be feeling really good, or you could be feeling like a little down, or you could be going from one extreme to the other. I've been, seeing a lot of people's comments in the Twin Flame group that I started on Facebook. And, oh, that reminds me, thank you everybody for all the birthday wishes. My birthday is tomorrow. Technically tomorrow, yes. So, thank you very much for those. But with this stuff that's like, I've been seeing people, one minute they're fine, or the next minute they're kind of like down, or one minute they're really up, and then they're just like, ugh. So, you may be experiencing it in different ways, and you could just be kind of experiencing all types of stuff, but I do think a lot of karmic energies are coming up to be released. A lot of people could be experiencing like the dark night of the soul symptoms. Again, I did, with the group, I did a post yesterday, I think it was, just to see if anybody had, because I saw so many questions coming in, and I was like, well, if you guys have certain questions I can help you with, let me know, and if I can help you, I'll bring it up on the channel. So somebody wanted to know like how you can help your twin wake up. Your masculine was in, very much of the 3D and isn't awake. So for that, just know that whatever energies are coming in are impacting them. Even if they're not awake, they are being impacted by it. And everything that you do impacts them. So just even you setting the intention to do a meditation for yourself, it will by default, send some energy their way because you share that soul energy. But another thing you would go to do like a step further is to intend to do work for them, Intention is the biggest key in all of our spiritual work. So you can just send intentions over to them. Like right now would be a good time with the Pleiadian lineup to send them some intentions to receive like the galactic energies. So the Pleiadian lineup happens twice a year, November and May. There are other videos on the channel about it. But it really is like a potent time for manifesting and connecting with the star energies, predominantly the Pleiadian energies, which is in the cluster of Taurus. So basically it just means like Earth's here and Taurus is up here, and in the eye of Taurus is the Pleiadian, star cluster. So in the midst of Taurus and Scorpio seasons, we have the Pleiadian lineups happen. And it happens from the 15th to the 20th, with the 17th, 18th, and 19th being the height of it. It does range a little bit each year, I feel, but, for me, it's always been that those 5 days have been really transformational and like a part of my journey that kind of gave me the confirmation of being even a star seed and connecting with the Pleiadians and all of that, all those years ago when I was first stumbling into it. But with everything going on collectively, I just think that this is going to be a big time for people. And it's a blue moon, so it's like a rarer energy than normal. So what to expect is kind of like, I don't really know what to expect, but just kind of go with the flow and set that intention to send, some of the higher vibrations to your counterpart to assist them. And when you do communicate with them, try to plant seeds, don't chase them down and send them information just because you wanted them to awaken. But, if you are talking to them in any way, or if you do end up talking to them at some point, just plant little seeds of information, nonchalantly. Don't try to be obvious, because you can't really force anybody to awaken. It's something that people kind of just stumble into after experiencing like darkness, after experiencing, this understanding, or this little light bulb goes on that like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. What am I doing with my life? Like, there's got to be more to life. And so I guess like in that, the scheme of things, like just sending them your thoughts, your prayers, your energy, And doing the soul work on yourself is the best thing to do to help. And then those opportunities that you get to give those little tidbits of like awakening info, you know, do it. But for the most part, you're just going to have to hope that this person can unplug from like the consciousness that's around him or her and start to feel with their soul more, to receive the messages that are coming in more. And you may be surprised, you know, your person may be more aware than you even know. And also think about where you're at on the journey. So like if you only just began your awakening process, that's likely that it's going to be a while before they really get to have theirs. Or if you, and not necessarily, because there is some who mirror and, you know, do a lot of the same things at the same time, but I think for a lot of you guys, like, just think about things into terms of yourself. Like, what do you really know spiritually at this point? Like, what type of stuff have you been wanting to understand on a deeper level? Start teaching yourself that stuff and, like, looking for the answers within yourself. That's going to help to, you know, trigger the same thing within your person. So we have the Dark Angel, the Star Child, and Master Hilarion and Archangel Raphael coming through right now. So again, that's that like Dark Night of the Soul energy, but for me, because there is a Dark Night of the Soul within this deck, I feel like it's not as intense. So people may feel like it's a Dark Night of the Soul, which is just like those intense depression, anxiety, you know, some people become like even a little suicidal with it. They just like can't cope, basically, type of energy. But the Dark Angel for me is more of like, yeah, you're down, but you're not down for the count, okay? So I don't think people are necessarily going through the Dark Night of the Soul, but you could just feel like you're going through the Dark Night of the Soul. But that's to be expected with the karmic energies coming up to be released at this time. And then with the Star Child, this makes sense because of this Pleiadian lineup. A lot of the star energies are going to be amplified. I feel like people may even be just coming to this point where they awaken to the fact that they have these star energies, or they could be trying to explore more of it, awakening to that part of themselves. So another part of the lineup is you may have a walk-in experience where a soul kind of just shows up on your path somewhere. You could be out and about, like you go to the cashier and it's like you just have this experience with them that doesn't feel normal. It's like, wait a minute, like somebody just kind of sticks out to you. They could either deliver some sort of type of message or just give you some sort of confirmation or synchronicity, and it's like, whoa. And they don't even have to necessarily talk to you for you to have this experience. So that's like a type of thing that will happen at this time too, because this is a time of special projects and like little check-ins with those who are on, you know, a spiritual journey. And like a more intense version of it, which I did want to bring up because I've seen a couple of people who have actually lost their twin flame, like they've passed away, and they were like asking, you know, what they do moving forward. Like, are they going to spend the rest of their life alone? Like, what happens to their twin? Stuff like that. So this came up and I was like, whoa. You could have your counterpart's soul reincarnate back in through a walk-in. So usually like that type of walk-in is pretty extreme. It doesn't happen often. But if somebody like, you know, who's here on the physical plane has like a car accident or something and like they're losing their life, like a near-death experience, when they come back, they may come back with a different soul. You know, they may not have any remembrance of who they were before they went through that experience, and then they come out a totally different person. And when this happens, usually like if they're married or whatever, like they end up getting divorced, and they just like change their job, their career, their focus. Like they have all these different memories. They have, you know, a completely different consciousness downloaded into them. Typically that happens for people who are really out of alignment with their mission, like they're just completely failing it. So it's like they send in a replacement. But this can also happen because when I saw one of them, I was like, whoa, I feel like this woman, her masculine may come back to the physical world. And now that doesn't mean he'll come back necessarily as a romantic partnership. She could have, you know, somebody in her family give birth to a child, and it's going to hold that energy and frequency of her twin. And that's why I feel like a lot of people have like those large age gaps too in some of the connections, is that you guys could have been in a past life together where one of you left before the other. And so now you guys are kind of like trying to catch up with each other again and kind of incarnate on the same energy or at the same time. But, you know, this could happen where if your counterpart passes away, they can reincarnate. Now, I did date somebody when I was, a little younger, right before I went into my really toxic relationship. And when we met, he was actually, I'm born in the height of the lineup in May. He was born during the lineup in November. And we had a lot of stuff that was like really close between us. Like we both like to draw. We were like, I got into the same music that he listened to. We worked together. We were very close. But there was like drugs involved at that point, and I had this experience and I got like freaked out and I was like, I just gotta leave. So I packed up all my stuff and I left one day. And after that, he really spiraled, and he told me he was gonna die without me, like he couldn't live without me. And I was like, no, you'll be fine. And then he died. And I'm pretty sure it was a combination of drugs, and just he had like an issue with his lungs anyways. But after that happened, I really like held on to guilt with it. But when I first awoken to the twin flame concept, the person that's alive, in here in the physical, was the first person that popped into my head. But I wondered, if it had been that other person that passed. And I think part of me wanted it to be that other person that passed because I was in a toxic karmic situation. It was easier to stay there thinking, well, maybe my twins passed away. But it didn't last very long. Like, I was doing meditations back when I was still living with the other person to try to like astral travel to my twin here in the physical, but I do remember having that experience. But one thing about that person, one of the dogs that I have now, I swear to God, is just like him. So you may have even a soul like walk back in as a like a pet or just as a friend or whatever. But just because your twin passes away doesn't give you like that, like it's not like you have to be alone for the rest of your life. They may have contracted to pass away so that you ended up with somebody else to clear up some contract that you've had from a past life. So because there's so many of you out there and there's so many people on different unique journeys, it's going to be specific to all of you. But these are the type of conscious understandings and awakenings that you're going to start to have as you evolve and awaken to other information. You meditate and you receive stuff from spirit. That's what's going to help you to understand, what a walk-in is, or like what's significant in your connection, like what you should do. Like if your person's passed, or if your person like there's no way they're coming back, like what should you do? All of these answers are inside of you, and there may be like that green light, because I think that was something I saw today too, was like, well, I'm really attracted to somebody, they have like all these amazing traits, and they're spiritually awakened, and their counterpart has been like MIA, they haven't talked to their person, they don't know where their person's at, and they're really attracted to this other person. Is it okay to date them? And it's like, yeah, if you don't know where your person is and you don't think they're coming back, and even if you do think they're coming back, you don't have to put your whole life on hold. It's whatever resonates for you. Try to do what you feel guided to do in your own, experience. But like if you were to lose a twin to this in this world, don't cut yourself off. And if it gets to be like you're waiting, numerous years, and this person's not back, like you may want to start exploring other connections, just because they may not get to the point where they awaken. So that brings us back to that first question. Like you can't force somebody to awaken, and even if you do, you can't force them to heal. People have free will, and this triggers the shit out of people for some reason. They get really upset because they're like, well, it's fated and it's destiny. Well, yes, we have destiny and fate, but we are also sovereign free beings, and we have that ability to say no to certain things. Even just in the fact of arguing on that, you're exercising your free will to look at it from the standpoint of, yeah, we have free will and there may be a chance that we don't get together, and the standpoint of, nope, it's destined, it can't happen. And I think it evolves over time, because I remember, holding on to that, like back, when it was like when you're more in the chaser energy, where you just like littlest things trigger you, like the fact that maybe we won't get together, it's like, ah! Like it freaks people out. But then as you go through it and you heal and you awaken to this global understanding, this like higher level of consciousness, when you do the healing work and you practice detachment and you're like okay with who you are, you start to open up to this stuff. And you like think about the concept of twin flames. Like, not everybody even has a twin flame here on Earth. And think a lot of people don't even understand what a twin flame is, because they're like out there asking for one. And it's not a joyride, you know, it's not easy, it's not fun. It's one of the hardest things I think a lot of people will have to go through. It's that darkness, because without the darkness, you won't know the light. There's a beautiful parts of it, but there's also really like hard parts of it. So if you have the choice of going with like a soulmate or a twin flame, you know, having a soulmate would probably be easier for you. It's not going to test you as much. It's not going to push you as much. But if you're somebody that's pushing yourself and growing on your own anyway, there's nothing wrong with having a soulmate. People have romanticized this idea of, oh, it's my other half and whatever. It doesn't matter, because even if you never come together in the physical, even if they're not here in the physical, even if they're here as a child or a family member or whatever, it doesn't, this is just the physical world, and it's all basically an illusion, a lower vibrational consciousness that is focused on bullshit, like, oh, I need this other person to complete me, or, you know, things like that. So you want to rise up and elevate your consciousness and heal to this level of understanding that you will unite with this other aspect of yourself again, but it may not always happen here, okay? It may happen in the higher realms. It may be after you both pass, or it may be that you pass and then you finally get back together with the other aspect of you that was never here to begin with. And everybody has specific things that they sign up to do, and that everybody deals with it in certain ways, because there's lessons and soul growth to be had through it. It's about healing. It's not about just having the perfect partner. And sometimes it's like, it's just too intense here. And if you're dealing with somebody where it's like just too intense, it may just be that you've got to wait until you're out of that lower vibrational density, or out of this place with all these triggers. So if you're not in a place of unconditional love, if your heart isn't healed and open, if you're not open to a higher level of consciousness, if you haven't, you know, explored your own consciousness, you haven't, you know, tried to heal yourself just to be the best version of yourself on your own, you know, it's likely that you won't get to just have like this harmonious union, because it's a harmonious union of two people who are balanced and healed and whole and ready to work together. You know, they're good on their own, and now they're ready to work together. Doesn't mean that they're perfect. There could still be, like, obviously there's still things to heal, but you know, you're probably a little bit further along, or you've been dealing with it for a significant amount of time. But even that in itself, like, time is an illusion. We're the only place that has this whole time thing, and that freaks people out too and triggers people, because as time goes on their connection, they either get really like low, or they get like to that chaser place, or they just get to the detachment place. But I do believe those that get to the detachment place are in a better place, because then you start to live your life for you, and you heal, and it's that place of detachment that can release the resistance, that opens up the doorway for you to have, you know, a harmonious union, because you're not in resistance to the things going on around you. So wisdom of the Divine Feminine is here on the bottom. I do think a lot of Divine Feminines are having like a higher awareness at this time. Like, you could be downloading these types of concepts. You could be seeing into your past lives, having dreams, remembering things, feeling like this urgency inside of you to get creative and give birth to new things, to fire up passion inside of you. Some of you may want to dance. Some of you may want to paint. Some of you just want to like get creative. Maybe, you know, tap into your spiritual mission here. And, I think it's if you're not in that vibration, you want to start working with that, because that's going to help you as well on your journey. That's going to help you to understand things and feel better. Because a lot of people, it's like the one thing they're passionate about, or the one thing they're spending all their free time on, is twin flame stuff. And that's not healthy. That's too much of an attachment. That's going to create so much resistance to what you're actually trying to get, that it's just detrimental to you, to your soul's growth, and to your person. So, try to start doing things and detach as much as possible, which was, again, another question, like how? You know, how do we detach? There's meditations out there to detach. You can cut cords, which is another question somebody asked. You know, is it safe to cut cords with your counterpart? Yes. You can't ever cut the main cord, but you can cut the negative cords, especially if they have like a karmic situation, or if they've just done things that have really hurt you, and it's like every time you think about it, you get like hurt again. you want to cut the cord to that, and you also want to work on forgiveness, not for them, for you, okay? Like, forgive them so that you're not feeling like, ugh. And know that the main cord of love can never be cut. And when you call on Archangel Michael to cut cords, I always call on Archangel Raphael to heal any of the severed places. But I know intuitively, and just through like my spiritual understanding and teachings and things like that, is that Archangel Michael isn't going to come in cutting cords of love. He's only going to cut the negative cords. So just know that you can't sever the main tie, but you can sever those cords of attachment, those cords of negativity, the cords of fear and of rejection and sadness and whatever else has gone on between the two of you. You can definitely cut those, and that's going to help. And then distract yourself with something that's going to like fire you up, instead of like, you know, watching a reading or doing something specific connected to them. Do something specific for you. Like, work with your divine feminine energy, that divine feminine flow, and use the power of your voice to start healing and speaking your truth, expressing yourself, expressing your emotions, because that can, again, inspire and plant those seeds to help your person to start speaking their truth. And if they have a truth connected to you, you know, you speaking your truth in other places in the world may help the flow of your partnership. The ebb and flow of relationship takes me where I need to be next on my path. So again, this connection for a lot of people, it's not about like we come together and, you know, we stay together. It's more so you come together, you trigger each other, and then you start learning and growing. You know, like I said the other day, I was very grateful for the fact that I had dealt with this person, because I wouldn't have done so many of the things that I'm doing now. You know, I never would have gotten here without this thing. I never would have been fired up to do a lot of the stuff that I did. I probably would have done a lot of stuff, but not to the extent that things are right now. Like, a totally different life would have played out for me. Of course, there was a lot of shitty things that happened through my life, but, you know, I'm still grateful for all of it because it's made me who I am. But that's like what they do, is like they send you into this flow of healing and learning and growing, awakening. You know, a lot of people meet this person, they separate from this person, and then they find out what a twin flame is. And then they're like, oh, and then they start having like all these other questions come alive, like, well, you know, what about this and what about that? For me, I had my awakening, and then I realized what a twin flame was. But I learned all of those things like coincide together. But I learned all my spiritual like stuff. Like, I was learning the spiritual stuff more so than I was learning anything to do with twin flame. And then later down the line, I started getting more into the twin flame stuff. And then once my karmic was gone, this kind of became a bigger part of it because it was safer. You know, I couldn't really explain away like, oh, why are you doing a twin flame meditation? You know, because it just wasn't cool. It was in a relationship. I couldn't explore it. So anyways, I think a lot of you guys, wherever you're at, whether you were already awake when you discovered it or they triggered you to awaken, they do put you into the flow of to where you're supposed to be next on your path. And this is how all of your relationships should be working, you know. And that was something too, like even karmic relationships can put you on the flow to something better, or inspire you to change things. But usually the twin flame connection really like spirals you into awakening on deeper levels, understanding, you know, things, or trying to understand things on a whole new level than maybe you ever would have even tried to do hadn't you met this person. So we have path awareness. If I sincerely ask, I am always guided back to the right path for me and to my central purpose. So again, if you've been having that like feeling of not knowing what to do or where to go next, or, you know, how to focus on yourself, how to detach, ask for assistance. Ask spirit to guide you, because they will show you the synchronicity. They're going to show you the messages. And sometimes, again, people will be in resistance to it because they're not ready to accept it. They get triggered by it, or they start going into a place of fear. But you just need to be aware of what you're supposed to be doing and then do it and bring it into this physical world. This time of transformation is here to be brought down into the physical world. Like if you're a starseed, if you're a light worker, if you're a twin flame, your purpose and your reason for being here isn't just to be in a connection with somebody that you know, have sex with and love. It's to have this understanding and an anchoring of a new consciousness for all divine feminines and all divine masculines, all masculine and all feminine energy, trying to assist that evolution, that transformation, so people can unplug from the bullshit mind, from the ego of like, staying focused on bullshit that doesn't serve them. It just kind of makes them like in a place of envy and greed and lust and all of the negative vibrations that really kind of take away hope and make people place all their value off of what they have or who they are or what they look like. This is to help bring an evolution to the consciousness. It's like evolutionary for this entire collective. So it's not really about per se that person. So that can help you too, to realize that you have a mission and you need to get into alignment with the mission rather than worrying about where your person is or where they aren't or what they're saying or what they're not saying. And that can help you to align with hope too, and to really attract to you things that are going to shift and manifest better, experiences into your world. But I do think, this energy that we're in right now, it is bringing about that energy of temperance. People are experiencing the extremes, the highs and the lows, so that they can balance them out and come into the place of temperance, which is that balance, which is that yes union energy. So it's coming into a place of union within yourself. And you come into that place of union within yourself when you do the spiritual work, when you go through the transformation and you are patient and you're healing and you're like letting go of the disruptions, of the temptations, of the ego, of the karma, and you're fulfilling your own wishes so that you can bring yourself into this place of balance. And it's from that place that you actually attract the accelerated motion between you and the person that you've likely already created, your foundation. And this is how you attract your union. This is the Four of Wands. This is the Twin Flame 1111 union. Okay, so it's not really necessarily about doing all these other things just for this purpose. If you're just doing healing work solely so you can be together with somebody, you're doing it for the wrong intention. And you're just kind of creating more resistance for yourself. You've got to start doing this stuff for you. You got to see that you're valuable enough on your own. And you need to love yourself enough to align with your own destiny for you, creating your own destiny, realizing the power that you have to manifest and to bring balance and justice to your life. So let's see what we can expect for these next coming, days and week ahead with this Pleiadian lineup for the Divine Masculines. Like head, we have power, which is the Strength card. So this is number 8. This can very much carry that like Lyran energy, which is the Lyran starseeds. There are ancient ancestors within the universe, and they are the ancestors of the Pleiadians, which we have the Pleiadian lineup right now. So a lot of the Divine Masculines' headspace, a lot of them awakening to something. They're stepping more into a power, and they're beginning new beginnings. So they're making some sort of decisions and movements and then choices in their life right now that are shifting and helping them to move on from the issues that they were maybe holding on to in the past. Any mental conflict that they've had, some of them are thinking about embracing new beginnings, embracing healing, and creating better partnerships and alliances with a new beginning of passion inside of them that leads to success. So they're starting to make better choices. They're seeing through illusions. There could be a lot of distractions or other options around them, but I feel like they're starting to realize what they should be choosing and what they should be releasing in regards to relationships with themselves and relationships with others. They're taking back that authority to tap into their intuition, and some of them are, awakening to the harmonious relationship available to them through you. Okay, so this is the Lovers. Some of them could be making choices in regards to this connection with you, especially if they have a karmic involved. They may be taking back the authority to go after what their intuition is telling them to do. And I do think a lot of them have been dealing with the shadow and the light as well. They've probably been dealing with the dark night of the soul energies. It's not like a full-on dark night of the soul, but it's enough darkness to trigger something inside of you that then leads to a rebirth that can lead you to a spiritual union, either within themselves or even with you in the physical world. And it's probably those that have a divine feminine who's in her Empress role. She embodied the Nine of Pentacles energy. She did her healing work. She laid down a foundation that can assist in leading to celebration rather than three-party bullshit. So if you've been, doing the work, if you've been healing and ascending and learning and growing and really being committed to your path, you may get this time of recognition and reward, a positive movement forward after this time of waiting and after, that time of suffering and silence. Some of you could be getting an option or an offer of reconciliation because you've truly stood in your power after experiencing emotional loss. You sacrificed, that desire, that need, that chaser role, and you went into the solitude and you allowed yourself to deal with those changes and to deal with healing that feeling of being rejected and all of that. So you've tapped back into the light after being in that, Nine of Pentacles, which is going to lead you to your union, your Four of Wands. Okay, so again, everybody's on different waves, but, I think for some of you, there is possibilities of a union. For others of you, there's just possibilities that, your masculine awakens to something a little bit more, or they start laying down the foundation to leave behind a karmic situation, or to just take the authority back into their own life, to feel, better about their own self, to not be worried about the stupid ego world of oh, I gotta have this and I gotta have that, and maybe I won't have enough of this. They're starting to take back the authority, to awaken from the understanding that it's not all about that, and gaining spiritual strength, the wounded healer. So some of them have experienced some trauma. Some of them have made the wrong decisions in the past that led to issues within the relationship to themselves and the relationship to others, but now they're allowing that to balance out so they can have fulfillments of their wishes. Nine of Cups is all about being happy, so it's they don't want to hold on to the things of the past that were keeping them from being happy. So this is stuff that could be going on within their head over the next week or so, that is brought on by this Pleiadian lineup, full moon in Scorpio energy. And I do intend my messages to be timeless, so even if you tap into this a while later, it could just be where your masculine's at. And energy is just energy. Some of you could be experiencing this right now. Some of you may experience it a week later. Some of you may have already gone through these things. And some of you could already be experiencing where we're thinking this is going, or trying to figure out where this is going. And ultimately, you're the creator of your reality again. So it's a matter of where you're at in your vibration. If you're focusing on negativity, or if you're focusing on positivity, that's going to manifest around you in different ways. You can look at the world in two ways: from a place of lack or from a place of love. And you can look at things from a place of fear, or just from a place of potential, because there's ultimate timelines available to us in front of us here. In every moment, there's all these different things that can do. It comes down to what you take for an action in that moment that spirals out into the creative collective consciousness. So let's see what the divine masculine energy is within their heart space, their feelings. We have fertility. So some of them, I feel some of them are feeling their feminines inside of them, in their heart, in their soul, or just around them energetically. They could also be feeling their divine feminine is in their Empress energy. They see her, shining her light, seeing her holding on to hope, being that star energy, that fulfillment of wish. She's fulfilling her own wishes. She's stepped into this creation mode. She's fertile. She's the embodiment of all the queens. And some of them feel like they want to give you that recognition and award that we saw them thinking about already. So, the things that they're thinking, they're also feeling, which a lot of times with the masculine vibration, that there's not always alignment with that. Sometimes they're thinking one thing but feeling a whole other. But I think right now a lot of them are in line with their intuition, and they're not just, getting intuitive insights. They're feeling things with their emotional body. They're opening up. Some of them are still being tempted. Some of them are still dealing with karmic situations. And again, that could be a person. They could be married. They could just be dating multiple people. It could be drugs. It could be alcohol. It could be beliefs that have been detrimental to them within their life. But, I think for majority, they've intuitively understood that these things were tempting them in the past and that they weren't the right decisions or choices. So now they want to make an accelerated movement away from it and away from the conflict and the defeat game. It's just all of the energies that have been detrimental. They're starting to have an awareness, and they're sacrificing things that they once were holding on to or clinging on to, so that they can embrace love, so they can open their heart. They can take that authority back and go through this time of transformation. Okay. Some of them are bored. Some of them, they could be bored with their current partner. They could be bored with their current life. They could be bored with the fact that they haven't been able to be with you. I feel like some of them are just trying to disconnect from things that are going on. Some of them could be trying to disconnect from their feelings too, because it is overwhelming for some of them. Try to disconnect from the overwhelming desire or feelings connected to their Empress. But others, I feel like, are disconnecting from other things so that they can come closer to her from this place of transformation and in this place of an open heart, So again, it's going to be different for everybody, but I do think that there has been some sort of disruption within their consciousness and their feelings, and there's just leading to more awareness. For those of you who keep, who think that like your masculine's not awake and stuff like that, stop thinking those things, because you are creating that reality where you see the version of your masculine who's not awake. He could very much be awakening to things in every moment that are, going to lead to new communication from this person that is completely different from what you may have received in the past or what you expect, I watched the, what's her name earlier for her full moon thing. And one of the things she talked about in it was like, how can you be in service to yourself? But then also about, people like need to start committing to no longer fearing the outcome of connections. It was like, what did we need to release with this moon? What did we need to let go of? And for some of you, it could be needing to let go of this like need to have this destined union come together. But some of you are holding on to the fear because you think what's going to happen. Like that's when you get triggered and you like think that they're going to come in and hurt you, or that maybe they never come back at all. And that's just like you thinking like the worst possible outcome for yourself. But then there's this other option that's available to you, is to just be open to all possibilities, and to know that, just because something seems a certain way doesn't mean that it is a certain way. So just because you feel like your masculine's asleep and unconscious and doesn't have a clue, doesn't mean that's necessarily the case. Stop putting like a final feeling on things, and just allow things to be, allow destiny to unfold in a positive way for you, by creating your destiny, by focusing on positive concepts, and beginning again in your own life to allow your emotions to overflow, attracting to you an awakened masculine, attracting to you new communication that is love filled and not just a repeating of a past cycle, or not, expecting them to have this emotional withdrawal. Expect them to have this passion ignited, expect for all the possibilities of the things that you want to be manifested, and stop, living in fear. But I do think that for a lot of them, they have had some sort of awareness come about them recently, and it could be connecting to their authentic truth within their soul in regards to their lover, their counterpart, their divine counterpart, or their divine feminine. Okay? So let's just see what type of actions may happen over the next few days and week. And we got transformation. So again, I feel like a lot of this energy is transforming into a place of justice and balance. There is this element of awakening. The last reading I did, it was like the divine masculine's awakening and divine feminine's like leveling up a little bit. So it is just another level of things happening and manifesting. Spirit is saying, stand your ground. And the Seven of Wands is about fighting for something that you believe in. And when it comes to a love connection, it's like, fighting to defend this person to your friends and your family and the people around you. So your divine masculine may want to bring that balance and justice with the 11 into this connection. He could be awakening to the fact that he wants to fight for you, regardless of what his current situation is, or regardless of his current understanding of spiritual matters. It's like he's wanting to stand his ground. He's awakening to this desire to bring justice. And this can also be a card of divorce. So again, some of them may take action to start filing for papers of leaving their karmic situations, or some of them could, make a contract with themselves, just like a verbal contract, like I'm no longer going to engage in this behavior, or I'm going to stop doing this to this person. And I'm noticing the 7, 11, and 13. The sevens are Pleiadian energy. It's the seven sisters, the seven stars of the Pleiades cluster. you know, the 7 doves, the 7, like there's all different ways that 7's tied into it. But 7 is also a very significant spiritual number, and like the 7 and 11 is a twin flame energy as well, and 13 is a divine feminine number. So I am feeling like there's going to be a heightened amount of synchronicity, a lot more stuff for you to be aware of. And then we have the 1, so again, like 1, 1, 1, 11, 11, that's twin flame confirmation. It's also an energy of awakening. You know, not everybody has the same, you know, description or way of looking at the numbers, but for me the 11s indicate like awakening, and it can also indicate, you know, divine counterparts. It can be twin flame energies, and 8 is as well. So this could be a time of accelerated action, communication, transformation within the way things are being communicated. Could be an energetic communication, or it could be a physical communication, but it is typically one about taking action and making movements in the physical world. We do have temptation coming through, again, with intuition, though. So I feel like some of them are starting to release their temptations to tap into their intuition. So they could be listening to their gut more, rather than to like the expectations around them from the physical world, or like the beliefs that have told them, oh, you got to do this in order to have that, or, you know, love hurts, or you got to work hard to make money, you know, you got to, like, you'll never amount to anything. It depends on the family. Like, some people have beliefs surrounding money that, like, money's the root of all evil, or some people have the belief that you gotta, like, you know, bust your ass in order to get anywhere in this world. But if you ignite your passion and you follow your intuition, you can be very abundant and do the things that you love, you know. So I feel like some of them could be having that understanding awakening within them, and just the way that they're making their movements in the world, the awareness that they have is changing. So within this next, you know, coming weeks, you may see some big transformations happening between you and your counterpart, or just even in their own lives. There's something that's definitely shifting. And I think a lot of them are ready to have like recognition and reward. Like, they don't want to be the bad guy, you know, they don't want to be the person that continuously hurts you, or you know, somebody that's not within their integrity, somebody that's constantly, you know, being tapped into those energies that have been detrimental in the past, you know, succumbing to the devil and the temptation of the flesh, of the worlds, that has slowed them down and has probably brought a lot of, you know, heartache and loss to them. So some of them will be, you know, taking that next level commitment to themselves to tap into the wisdom of their consciousness and through their intuition. And again, set that intention over this next couple of days to assist in that, if that's what you're wanting from your masculine, you know, intend that they're seeing through their mental conflict, and they're now seeing through their third eye, awakening and anchoring it into the physical world, so that they can manifest, you know, harmony within this connection with you. Okay? But I do think that this will be a positive time for a lot of you guys. I do think that there's potentials for new beginnings, and some of you with passion ignited and deception and envy, just be careful that you're not getting tricked or going back into a same cycle, because cycles can repeat. So make sure that you're not, you know, feeling like something's going to be a certain way, but at the core of you, you know, maybe it's not the right thing or the right time. Don't be deceived. Don't go into a place of envy. Don't get triggered. I mean, obviously you're going to get triggered at times, but try not to allow things to deceive you, and don't allow your counterpart to deceive you either. Don't just go into something for passion only. Make sure that there's value and love and respect and harmony, you know, within this energy as well. You don't want to just go return to somebody that ends up, you know, ghosting you again or running away from you. Bring the light into your energy field, and honor yourself, and honor yourself in a place of balance that leads to reconciliation, not to more emotional loss. Be patient and balanced within yourself, and know that from that place is how you're going to attract that within your physical world. That's how you're going to attract that breakthrough within your connection to your person. All right, so I do hope you guys enjoy the Pleiadian lineup and the full moon energies. I do think that there is a potential for good things to happen for a lot of you. This is going to be a time of discovery. Go discover stuff about your starseed energy. And it's just like a twin flame thing. Like, you'll just know. You're just going to know if it resonates for you or not. And it can help you to start manifesting miracles into your life. As soon as I discovered my starseed stuff, big changes started happening in my life, and being able to manifest things. You know, there was so much wisdom and insight that came in, so much understanding that came in. I asked them to show me things a lot, and they usually do. Sometimes I forget, but it was like, it was the beginning of this process of recovery, of healing and learning and growing and attracting, you know, beautiful things. And this can be a time of enlightenment for you. So stand strong in your power, open your heart, ground this into the physical world, and try to look at things from a different perspective. You know, go Google like the starseed characteristics for Pleiadians, Sirians, Lyrans. There's Andromedans, Vegans, Avians, Arcturians. There's all different types all over the place. So you may, you know, resonate with one more than the other, or you could be a Blu-ray soul, or you could be an indigo or a crystal, or a rainbow person. You know, there's so many different variations of energies and frequencies that you can resonate with, but will help you to understand your soul better. And you want to understand your soul because it's their soul too. So when you really understand yours, you're helping to understand theirs. But you want to do so more for yourself, so you can find the balance within you and set that place up for them to find the balance within them. But I do think that this is going to be an opportunity for a lot of people to discover deeper parts of themselves, to balance things out, to find some justice, and to clear up the things that maybe were hurtful in the past, to recover and to receive, you know, the enlightenment connected to understanding these things, and to even attract some new miracles and some new abundance and transformation, you know, going from a limited view and a limited experience within this physical world to a very expansive view and a very abundant place within this world. So I hope that this assists you guys. Thank you again for all the birthday wishes. Thank you for all of your commenting, liking, subscribing. Thank you to those who have been donating to the channel. I did turn off my requests for a little bit. I mean, they're not turned off. It's just that I'm not going to be answering requests until like the 21st. So if you pay for a reading, it'll be 3 weeks from the 21st, because I'm trying to manifest a little bit of time off in June. So basically, I'm not answering emails right now, and then in June I'll be taking the time off from readings. And then moving forward, when emails come in, it will be just ordered in the like how they came in, and I'm only taking so many for each day. So I may take 10 emails on a day, but I'm only scheduling myself, you know, like certain amount of hours Monday through Friday, and then after I'm done with these next 3 weeks, I'll only be working Mondays through Fridays to do private readings. So, you know, if you can click into like the Monday of that week or the Tuesday, basically when you email me, I'll give you a you know, like an expected delivery date for your reading, but it will be right around 3 weeks. Unless you were to order it today, it would be closer to 4. But after the 20th, it will be back to 3. Okay? So thank you guys very much again. Enjoy the Pleiadian lineup, the full moon energies. Do some rituals, do some meditation, get out, enjoy your life. Try to detach as much as possible. Don't hold on to any like fears. You know, just be open to receiving what the universe believes is best for you, and just be open to embrace those possibilities that, you know. So, in Mune, namaste.